Hello YouTubers, welcome to vlog number 110. It's a Sunday, which means don't know what to do. I'm going to go down to the club for breakfast because there's not much food in the house. Therefore no smoothie today because we need to go get some. Also had a comment yesterday about changing my grip to try and get more stable footage when I'm walking around. So I'm going to try and focus on that this week. Let me know what you think. So I've changed my grip today. Is this footage steady? Who knows? Let's get down to the club. And we've made it to the club for breakfast. Oh yeah. We're going to see if Tiernan's here for breakfast, and let's see if this change of grip is a bit more steady for you guys. Got James Johnson as well joining us for breakfast. Hopefully we can get some little bit of workout as well this morning before we decide what else to do. But we'll soon find out. Let's get in the club, see who's there, have some food. And we're back in the crew and got my breakfast. Just a small one for a Sunday. We're still trying to decide what to do. We'll see what we're getting up to. See you after breakfast. And we've decided what's going to happen today for over breakfast. So we're going to do some recovery weights in the gym because the gain train never stops. And then cinema with Tiernan Oliver, Ross Jarvis and James Johnson seeing the Avengers movie because we are very, 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 very far behind the times. So we're going to go to weights now. Yeah, buddy, let's get to it. Okay, while I head to do the feeder weights session for this wonderful Sunday, I'm going to put some rowing footage for over the weekend while we get to erg thoughts of the differences. So I'm just explaining sort of Leander Club. I think there's some confusion between Leander Club and the GB team. Let's get to it. Okay, and welcome to Erg Thoughts with Buchan as we just put some footage from this week. So the normal Sunday vlog, just from footage you've seen this week. And as you can tell from the title and what I just said, we're just going to discuss, inspired by a comment on the YouTube videos, just about sort of so Leander Club and GB, how the system kind of works, or the GB team, how they connect, how they don't connect, because I think there's just a bit of confusion between what's going on. So, let's start in the past. Leander Club used to be where quite a few members, or at least when the team was very small, the members of GB rowing team rowed out of Leander Club, like the four in Gold Fever, on like the BBC Gold Fever documentary they made a few years, or a lot of years back. That was like mostly based in Leander Club because the funding at that time was a lot lower, and like a majority of the members were Leander members, members of the team were Leander members, they trained out of there, etc. But nowadays things are drastically different. So funding itself is probably a huge part of the change. So they've been able to train out of Caversham at the Redgrave Pinsent Rowing Lake in Caversham, where they have excellent facilities, weights, erg room, rowing, boats, where you can train every day, and it's just the water is just for the team. And so that means that nowadays that Leander Club and the GB rowing team are separate entities. They are different places. You aren't, if you are able to row at Leander, that doesn't mean you're on the team, and same thing goes, if you're on the team, that doesn't mean you're a member at Leander Club. And when I say team or squad in this conversation, I'm meaning the GB rowing team or the GB rowing squad, however you want to call it. But so they're now not one and the same. They never were, but now the gap between the two has grown bigger, just because it's essentially Leander Club now is just it is a club. A Leander Club is a rowing club. It just happens to have a lot of members that are part of the GB rowing team, and that just stems back to the history of Leander Club, how Redgrave and Pinsent trained here, there, and then they went to the squad, and then as more and more people came into the rowing team, the team grew. Then you've got, so if you think about it, Leander Club is very convenient. If you train at Leander Club, and say for example they want you to they need someone the next day to train because someone's injured, they can easily just phone up the head coach at Leander Club and say, look, I just need one guy for a day to fill in for some pieces or whatever, and it's really easy for them. It's a 20-minute drive, there you go. Just pop, over you go. So that can sort of be where like a really close link can be formed. Obviously the coaches have been working together at Leander Club and whatnot for a very long time, and when it comes to say Eights Head and different regattas like that where the GB rowing team doesn't race but the members of the GB rowing team go to their own clubs, there are a lot of members of the team that sort of go. So for this year, for example, the 8 at Leander was a vast proportion of the 8 was members from the GB rowing team. So it's things like that where I think that could cause confusion with certain people that think that Leander Club and Team GB are one and the same. They are now very separate. Pretty sure they always kind of were, but the separation is quite definite. And that's what I'm just wondering, because I've heard a lot of questions that, oh, you're going to Leander Club, that means you're on Team GB, and that's not the case. It's the Leander Club's goal is to help athletes get onto the squad, and obviously that's a goal of many other clubs. But with just the location of Leander Club, the history of Leander Club, I wouldn't say it's easy, but the advantages that Leander Club has quite greatly outweigh other clubs that may also try and put athletes on the GB rowing team. For example, if you're training up in Scotland, it's quite difficult for you to train in Scotland and then, okay, you've got trials next week, and okay, come down tomorrow, and then we can do some extra training before trials, and then you're having to rush about. This is like a spontaneous plan, and you're going to have to rush about, and you're going to travel down, and you're going to be tired, and you're going to get enough sleep. And then you come down and you're exhausted, and then you don't really perform very well, and you think, well, this. So that can be like a disadvantage of being outside of, or far away from Leander Club. But it's really just sort of grown over the years. There's many members that are a part of Leander Club and very good rowers. There's many Olympic medals. Every Olympic year, the banner goes up on sort of the front of Leander Club of how many medals have been won at the Olympic Games, and the number is quite drastic. It's in the triple figures anyway, which is quite, and that's including sort of like 8 gets 8 medals, etc. But it is a large number of medals because it is a very successful club, because there are a lot of successful members in it. So hopefully that explains sort of some differences between, I've discussed before, like rowing at Leander versus rowing at the club, at Leander Club. Sorry, differences between rowing at Leander Club and rowing on the squad, sort of literally the training and the rowing wise. But I thought a few questions relating to this kind of thing and how it's not like the same. Oh, and funding was a question. I discussed a little bit before. Funding itself has grown over the years, and the lottery funding has been huge in rowing in general across Britain. And that has helped rowing, so not just Leander Club, not just the GB rowing team, but a lot of different squads or teams across the country where funding really helps out and pushes the sport, because rowing is one of the most, it's not the top, but it is pretty close to the top of the table kind of thing of the highest funded sports, and we're really sort of privileged to have that. And that can go for funding itself. So if you're on the GB rowing team, you can be funded for training, or that could be funding for camps, or funding for the athletes themselves, funding for new boats, etc. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but obviously the team gets some money. And then when you go to Leander Club or any other club in general, there's lottery funding, depending on sort of performance markers they can generate. There's lottery funding for that as well. So that you could talk about lottery funding being a big part of the changes of rowing, and how sort of different so not just Leander Club, but clubs themselves versus the GB rowing team are different again. And let me know in the comments below if you kind of get what I'm saying, or if you have any other questions on the matter. I'll be happy to answer, perhaps even another sort of Eric thoughts on the matter, just because I've been training at Leander now for the last sort of 10 weeks, and I've trained at Leander in 2015-16 for a year, and I know a lot about it. I do the tours, etc. But it'd be really good just to hear your guys' thoughts, what you think, or even if you thought differently what I was thinking and now I've cleared things up, or if I've confused you even more. Hopefully not the latter, but let me know in the comments below your thoughts. Okay, so that is the end of the Sunday recap footage, and let's get back to my pretty face. Okay, and that is us finished with the weight session. Hopefully enjoyed the rowing footage, the erg footage, the workout footage from this week, and the erg thoughts. Just discussing the sort of differences with Leander Club, the GB team, how they're not separate, how they used to be sort of close to one thing, just to like make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone understands kind of the differences and what goes on here. But like I said, going to head to Avengers, and the reason we did weights today is just kind of to make sure don't get too rusty on the day off, sort of active recovery if you will, so some stretching, not any really heavy weights, just sort of getting everything moving, getting the blood flowing. And also, I'm going to put on my story on my Instagram about the tank tops today at some point. I'm going to show you the tank top itself. You guys have seen it in the vlogs. It's a pink one with the yeah buddy in the front. I'm going to make a limited run of said tank top. So what's going to happen, so I'm going to make a time period, a week to 2 weeks, not 100% sure on the date yet. And I think the simplest thing is DM me and we'll organise sort of what's going on from there if you want one. And then after that time period, I'll make the order and then we'll get going with that tank tops. And hopefully the plan is to get everyone their tanks by Henley Raw Regatta. Obviously if you're outside of Europe that might be a bit more difficult, but that is the plan. Alright, that is the rest of the vlog for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it for this Sunday relaxing vlog. Remember, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that like button, and have a good one.